Hey, it's Wheels. Welcome to a tank review video for the JagdTiger 8.8 centimeter, or JT88 as I will be calling it. I wanted to make this video because, as some of you might have heard, Wargaming is promising us a 15% rebate on tier 8 premium tanks, amongst other things, of course, if World of Tanks wins the Golden Joystick Award for Best MMO. And seeing as I already own a few of the tier 8 premium tanks, I thought I could showcase the ones that I think are best for those of you who don't own them. But of course, out of the 3 premium tanks that I do have, 2 of them have already been removed from the shop, namely the KV5 and Type 59. However, it's my hope that these reviews help you compare these tanks to the ones that are currently available so that you can decide whether you want to buy now or, potentially wait for the Type and KV to go back on sale. And I definitely do think that they will go back on sale because if you look back last year when the Type was removed from circulation, a few months later, Wargaming put it back on sale for a limited time, and I'm betting they made a dime on it. And so, it's a publicly known fact that Wargaming likes to milk its player base for money, and I'm not criticizing their ability to do so. They made the game, they can do whatever they want with it, but I'm just saying that I definitely do think that these 2 tanks will come back on sale eventually. Just, maybe not in October. Voting for these awards is already well underway, and the winners will be announced in October. And seeing as how World of Warcraft isn't in the running this year, I'm going to go ahead and say that tanks is most probably going to win. And I mean, it's received more exposure than any other game in its category. And in terms of concrete numbers, the World of Tanks' entry has been tweeted over 10 times as much as the other nominees combined. All of the other nominees combined. So there you have it. Anyhow, let's get started on the review. The game that's playing in the background was chosen not because I do particularly well in it, because I really don't think I do, but I think it demonstrates a lot of the strengths of the vehicle and also a few of its weaknesses, and so basically it really fit the purpose of this video. The first stat that I'm sure many of you want to know about is most likely the cannon. As its name implies, the JT88 carries an 8.8 centimeter gun, the same one that's found on many other German tanks such as the Jagdpanther, Tiger, and Tiger P. All tier 7 tanks for that matter. As such, you can see that it isn't really a gun that befits a tier 8 tank destroyer, since it's kind of wimpy for its tier. However, it makes up for the lack of alpha damage and penetration with 2 other stats, an incredible accuracy, and an amazing rate of fire. And this has led to some members of the community calling me the laser cannon. Let me explain myself. At tier 8, the JT88 has an average 240 alpha and 203 penetration. And if you compare that to the 12.8 centimeter monster of a gun that can be found on both the Furdy and the Jagdpanther 2, it doesn't quite cut it. I mean, it's going up against 490 alpha and 246 penetration. In my opinion, however, the accuracy and rate of fire of the JT88 more than makes up for this, because if you compare the JT88's 8.8 centimeter and the Jagdpanther 2's, the Jagdpanther 2 has an accuracy of 0.32 and a rate of fire of 10 rounds per minute, whereas the JT88 has a remarkable 0.31 accuracy and an astounding, absolutely astounding, 11.11 rounds per minute. And while the increased accuracy, 0.01, isn't all that much to write home about, it's still the second highest accuracy in the game, right behind the E50's guns, which sit at 0.30. But the thing that really sets this tank apart, though, is the crazy fast rate of fire. And this rate of fire means that you'll be spitting out shells once every 4.4 seconds or so, if my math is correct, with Max Crew, Vance Rammer, Brothers in Arms, all that. And in terms of DPM, that means that you're churning out potentially over 3,400 damage per minute if you're sitting there continuously firing. Ideally, you don't want to do that because sitting still taking pot shots at a target is a very good way to die. You gotta remember, if you can shoot at them, they can most likely shoot at you, so there's that to take into consideration. But, with a DPM that's so high, 3,400, I think that's actually the highest DPM in the game as it stands. With the new tank destroyers that are coming out, those new tanks might overtake this number, but for now, 3,400 is a very, very respectable number. Now, I know I just said that sitting still is a very good way to die, but you gotta remember that the JT88 is in fact a TD, and a very accurate one at that. And so, as such, I think it's pretty good at staying hidden and putting shot after shot downrange into your target reliably at a longer distance. Of course, it's still huge and unwieldy, with it basically being a JagdTiger with a smaller gun. But this fact also affords it certain advantages that other TDs of its tier don't have. For example, it has a 250mm thick superstructure, which is incredibly hard to pen for same tier tanks. And it also has the most health out of any of the tier 8 tank destroyers. Don't let the paper stats fool you into thinking this tank is invincible for its tier though, because while it does have the same armor layout as the JagdTiger both on paper and in practice, it's a known fact that the JagdTiger's armor, the 250mm frontal armor that's displayed on paper, is not quite true, because while the superstructure is indeed 250mm thick. The hull armor on the JagdTiger is actually the same as the JagdTiger's hull armor, which is a tier 8 tank. And so the upper front plate has a thickness of 150mm angled at 40 degrees, which is an equivalent of 233mm unangled. And you know, that's not that bad, but that means that it's not impossible to pen for same tier tanks. If you have an IS-3 or a JagdTiger, if you shoot at some of the weak spots on the upper front plate, you will pen. And what's even worse is that the lower front plate, well, similarly to other high tier German tanks, the lower front plate is a massive weak spot. It's 100mm angled downwards at 40 degrees, and that only comes up to about 155mm of effective thickness, and that means that most tier 7 tanks will be able to pen you frontally with ease if you're not in a hold down position. And even tier 6 tanks, if they get a high penetration roll, will be able to pen you through the front. And what's more is that once you do get penetrated from the front, most German tanks at this tier usually have their transmissions set to the front, and a shot going through the lower front plate means that your engine usually goes up in flames, and that, let me tell you, that is not a pleasant experience. Mobility wise, this tank moves just as you would expect it to. It has a higher horsepower engine than the stock engine on the JagdTiger, but a worse one than the top engine on it. And so while it's not quite as slow as a T95, don't expect to be getting anywhere fast, especially uphill. God, this tank is horrible going uphill. Because of its relatively slow speed and huge silhouette, artillery is a bigger problem for the JT88 than it is for other tanks. But as long as you're somewhat familiar with arty shadows and where to hide in order to not get shot at, you should be okay. One thing that's important to note with this tank is that it is very much a sniper tank and should be played as such. Stay as far away from enemy tanks as possible and riddle them with shells, because going in close with this tank usually means that you'll either be tracked and killed or simply circle strafed and killed, because it has a very, very low clear speed. All in all, I think that this tank is extremely fun to play, and in terms of money-making capabilities, as you know, credits come from damage, and this tank can definitely churn out the damage. 3400 DPM is no laughing matter. Just, aim for the weak spots. As it stands, there are only 3 premium tank destroyers available to be purchased, and since they're all different tiers, it's kind of hard to compare them between each other. But I would say that if you like to play tank destroyers, and more importantly, if you have the patience for this kind of playstyle, the JT88 will definitely pay dividends if you buy it. Of course, the price is somewhat steep, 11,000 gold pieces, which is close to $50 on the American server. I think it's somewhere around 44, 45. But for me, it was definitely a worthwhile purchase. That's it for my review, guys. Final verdict is a definite buy, especially if it goes on sale, because 15% off of 11,000 makes it less than 10,000, and 4 digits is less than 5. In any case, the game's winding down as we kill off their few remaining heavies. Here I unfortunately let my platoon mate die. Not on purpose, of course, but I misplayed it and he had to pay for my mistake. Sorry for that, by the way, can't stop. Their last tank remaining is an arty piece, and obviously I am not going to go looking for it. So for some reason, their armed medium doesn't want to go look for it either, so I guess we're all going to sit on cap until the end. Anyhow, thank you all very much for watching, and remember to keep an eye out for those KV5 and Type 59 reviews that I will be coming out with soon to you. I'll see you all next time.